Rescue operations are underway in parts of the Philippines that have been hit by one of the strongest storms in the world this year. Tens of thousands of people are being moved to emergency shelters in southern and central parts of the country. Officials say about 10,000 villages are in the projected path of the typhoon.
What we are seeing, basically, whatever it is that are made available at this point are just snippets of what's actually happening at the moment. Typhoon Rai made landfall on Siargao Island, a known tourist destination on the eastern part of the Mindanao region. And it is a slow-moving typhoon, which means that it's going to batter a lot of the coastal and agricultural communities in this part of the Philippines, and we know that a lot of the aid usually are already pre-positioned in a country like the Philippines with more than 7,000 islands. But again, the succeeding rescue and retrieval operations, if there will be, and additional response teams that will be coming from different areas.
This year's Sakharov Prize for Freedom of Thought has been awarded, in absentia, to Russian activist Alexei Navalny. The 45-year-old is in jail in Russia, accused of parole violations. A price his family claims he's paying for speaking out against Vladimir Putin's rule. In Strasbourg, Navalny's daughter accepted the EU's top human rights prize in his name, while renewing her calls for his release and asking MEPs for further support.
This might actually be what the nightmare of myself and my family looks like. Me traveling from different conferences and summits, giving speeches in my dad's name while he is in jail. And I will continue traveling, meanwhile reading articles about the horrible conditions my dad is being held in.
The Tasmanian community of Devonport is in mourning tonight after an unthinkable tragedy at a primary school. 9 children at the Hillcrest Primary School were playing on a jumping castle and inside blow-up balls when a freak gust of wind blew them into the air. Several children have died, with more in hospital with serious injuries.
Parents rushed to the school just after 10 a.m. after being notified of a serious incident. They arrived to find rescue helicopters, ambulances and police surrounding the school. A gust of wind blew a jumping castle and several inflatable Zorb balls into the air. Children were playing on them. Some fell 10 metres to the ground. 2 boys and 2 girls died. They were in grade 5 and 6.
The National Archives releasing a new batch of documents related to the JFK assassination. JFK researchers have been demanding more transparency from the U.S. government surrounding the 1963 shooting. Mark Meredith is in Washington on that for us. Mark, any major reveals in this document release?
Hey there, Sandra. We're still going through them. We're talking about nearly 1,500 documents, all of them posted online. There is a lot to go through, and all of them tied to the government's investigation into the JFK assassination. President Biden, he had issued an executive order back in October compelling the National Archives to release materials today. There are a wide range of interesting tidbits. For example, there's a memo from May of 1964 that details an anonymous call to the U.S. Embassy in Australia. It involves someone who claimed to be a driver for the Soviets and then claimed to know about a plot. The memo says that source on that occasion stated that Iron Curtain countries plan to pay $100,000 for the assassination of President Kennedy.
Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly.
O.J. Simpson is a completely free man. This, according to the Nevada Board of Parole, which granted him early parole.
And we have that you are currently, very recently turned 90 years old. 90, I'm sorry about that.
I feel like it, though.
In October 2008, Simpson was sentenced to 9 years in prison for leading 5 men, including 2 with guns, in a September 2007 confrontation with a pair of sports collectible dealers at a Las Vegas casino hotel. Simpson insisted he only wanted to retrieve personal mementos and items from his football career that he claimed were stolen from him.
And I will be no problem, and I think I kept my word. As I said, I've done my time. I'd just like to get back to my family and friends, and believe it or not, I do have some real friends.
Today, reports have emerged that at least 2 people were killed and 15 were injured in an explosion at a Gujarat fluorochemicals factory in the Panchamal district of the state. Panchamal Superintendent of Police Leena Patil, who rushed to the spot to oversee the search and rescue operations, said that rescue and firefighting operations were being conducted at the factory. According to reports, the explosion was so loud that the blast could be heard from several kilometers away. Patil informed that the blast took place at around 10 a.m. in the morning.
4 years to the day since her body was discovered dumped in a ditch. Today, Caroline Pierce's killer was jailed for life. Dvid Fuller also killed and sexually abused Wendy Nell in the same year of 1987. But since his arrest last December, Dvid Fuller has become almost more notorious for sexually assaulting over 100 dead women and girls in 2 Kent hospital mortuaries. Despite being given 2 whole life sentences for the murders, the decades of mortuary rapes only amounted to 12 years. So, for example, for raping the body of Azra Kamal 3 times, he was given just 3 months.
Lewis Hamilton has been knighted by the Prince of Wales at an investiture at Windsor Castle. The 36-year-old has been honoured for services to motorsport. Here's Joe Wilson.
So Sir Lewis Hamilton came out and he posed for some pictures with his mum. But he declined to take questions. He didn't want this to become a media event, and that is his right. I've been to many of these investiture ceremonies over the years. Often they take place at Buckingham Palace, and frequently the stars of sport or stage or screen or politics or whatever it is decide they don't want to make it a media event.